So good morning, Christ Universal Temple. How are you? Oh man, I feel so good. It's always wonderful to be in fellowship with you. Before I move into my lesson, I just do have to be formal. So on behalf of the entire Christ Universal Temple family, I just want to say thank you to the wonderful women of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. God bless you. We're excited to welcome you on your International Day of Prayer. I want to say thank you to all of the AKAs of CUT. And my teacher, my mentor, Reverend Coleman, she taught us that you get in trouble when you start calling names. And so I'm gonna go ahead and preface it right here so that you'll know that I don't mean to not call your name, but I just want to highlight just some people who were instrumental in making this day happen from the inside. I want to say thank you to Sandy Shivers. I want to say thank you to Miss Doretta Parker. I saw you, Doretta. Where are you? Thank you. And I want to say thank you to the president of our board of directors, Miss Tiffany White. I am a monarch man. Yeah. Right? I am a monarch man, so I'm a part of the family. They're gonna trip him. And so we are. This is the last in the series of our lessons from the Lion King. And for the past couple weeks, for the past 3 weeks, we have been taking some critical lessons from the journey of Simba. Simba, as many of you know, is the lion cub who, in truth, is the eventual king. And so like Simba, the divine is within each and every one of us. But as H. Emily Cady said, each of us must sooner or later come to stand alone with God. And it's in this standing alone with God that we come to truly recognize and understand who we are and whose we are. But one of the things that amazes me is that wholly 85% of people are walking around, wandering around, uncertain about what God has placed within them. Not only uncertain, but believing that they are unworthy of the very gift that God intentionally placed in the souls of every one of us. What must happen in the mind for us to attempt to co-opt God's plan and to assume that what we believe is true about ourselves just because of some stuff we've been through? And so Simba helps us see this journey. And one of the things that we see in Simba's journey is that we are interpreting our ability and we're interpreting our capacity and we're interpreting what we're capable of just based upon what we've been through. And so Simba comes up with this sense about not being enough of what he already is. Oh my God. And so then for us, there are people who are just assuming that they're not spiritual enough. There are people who are assuming that they're not pretty enough. Assuming and believing that they're not powerful enough, assuming and believing that they're not creative enough, assuming and believing that we're not talented enough, accepting beliefs that are creating our world and they have nothing to do with the truth about what God placed within us. And so then, like Simba, we have to have some mentors who can teach us and help us. And Simba had the good fortune of running into Timon and Pumbaa. And Timon and Pumbaa taught Simba that you had to put your past behind you. Yeah, I know I'm talking to the right people. And in learning how to put the past behind us, we begin to reconnect with what we have forgotten. We begin to reconnect to our divinity. And in reconnecting to our divinity, we begin to change our mind and we recognize that we are the thinker who thinks the thought that makes the thing. And so when we meet Simba today, he is at a turning point in his journey. And he is still traveling with his mentors, Timon and Simba, Timon and Pumbaa. And at this point, they are giving him a very critical lesson about the way to approach life. They have presented him with this possibility that you can live life with no worries. These teachers have given him a philosophy for life. They call it Hakuna Matata. Repeat after me. Hakuna Matata. Over here, repeat after me. Hakuna Matata. It means no worries for the rest of your days. So I want to adapt it just a little bit, if we may. For today, I would like to adapt it and say that prayer is a philosophy of life that helps us no longer have to worry for the rest of our days. In the old church, they would say, if you're going to worry, don't pray. And if you're going to pray, that's right. And so there is a philosophy by which you and I can go through life and not worry. Now, just so that we're on the same page, I'm not suggesting that it doesn't mean you won't have problems. I'm just suggesting that it means you don't have to worry about them. I'm saying that it gives us a way to approach life instead of worrying. See, worrying is a lot like sitting in the rocking chair. It'll give you something to do, but it won't get you anywhere. Are you with me? And so one of the things that we have to be willing to do is we must be willing to work through the challenges. But we have something we can do to work through the challenge with. We can pray. Why pray? We pray because prayer is the common meeting ground between God and us. Why pray? We pray because there are mental and spiritual laws at work. Why pray? We pray so that it can position our souls to receive what God has planned for us. Why pray? So that we can set our minds like a trap to catch the good that God has already prepared. Let me see your hand if you understand that there is power in prayer. For those of you who don't have your hand up, somebody has prayed for you, and that's probably the reason you're here now. But I just want to give you 3 handles for how to apply prayer. Is that all right? And just know that as we are applying these handles do not change God. The handles are not intended to change God. The handles are intended, prayer is not intended to change God. Are you with me? God's will for you is already good. Nothing changes that. The prayer is intended to change me so that I can catch what God is already throwing. Are you with me? So the first handle that I want to give you in how to apply prayer is I want you to be able to apply prayer as a pulley. Put that in your notes. Apply prayer as a pulley. Apply prayer as a pulley. There are 2 ways in which you can apply prayer as a pulley. The first way is to pray believing, and the second way is to get some prayer partners. See, when we talk about worrying is a form of adverse prayer. Worrying is a way of sending out the message that what it is you are worrying about, you don't really want more, but you don't know how to correct yourself to not get more of what's not working for you. See, worrying is what we do whenever we come up with 5 good reasons about why our life can't work. And if you've ever come up with 5 good reasons, let me just suggest to you that all you really need is 1 good reason about why it can't work. But when we worry, it winds up taking us down a rabbit hole, Herb. But the good news is that you have a tool, and that tool is prayer, and prayer can be used as a pulley. Now, when I say that prayer can be used as a pulley, here is what I mean. A pulley allows you to lift and move and manipulate and manage something that by yourself and with your own power you would never be able to move. It allows you to take what you don't have the force by your own human mechanism to move, and it allows you to move what you could not move. See, for some of us, our lives are not changing because we're trying to do it by our might and by our power and by our strength. But I believe there's some place in the scriptures that says, not by my might and not by my power and not by my strength. See, prayer allows me to tap into a power that's ready to move on my behalf. Are you with me? And so prayer is a pulley, but I not only have to pray, I have to pray believing. See, that's the challenge. That's the challenge for us. Can I share something with you? See, most of us don't have problems believing what we're worried about. That's the easy part, Doc. See, believing what I'm worried about is easy. It's the believing in the thing that has not shown up as a part of the faith that's the challenge. Now I really want to unpack it for you. Can I help you? See, probably in most cases, both the thing that you are worrying about and the thing that you are praying for, neither has shown up. But because we are powerful beyond our own measure, we can get to choose what we will put our power into. So you can choose to worry about something that hasn't shown up yet, or you can choose to believe for what you have been praying for. And the master teacher said, when you pray, pray believing that you will receive. I love the story about the great tightrope walker. Tightrope was performing incredible tightrope feats all over Paris. And there was this American promoter who had caught wind of what Tightrope had been doing, and he sent a letter to Tightrope, and he said, Tightrope, I do not believe that what I've been hearing on the other side of the ocean is true. So I want to challenge you to walk across the Niagara Falls from Canada to the United States part. He said, I will not only pay you a great sum of money if you win, but also pay all of your fees to come over. And Tightrope says, sir, I've never been to America, but I would love to take the journey. I'm on my way. And so they set it up. After much promotion, a whole bunch of people show up to see if Tightrope can make it from Canada to the USA on a tightrope. Now, what Tightrope had a propensity to do was he would perform his feats in a sequential order. So first he would just walk across the tightrope, and next he would walk across the tightrope blinded, and then he would walk across the tightrope with a wheelbarrow. So when he got to America, he lined up on the Canadian side with nothing but his bar, and he began to walk across. When he made it to the other side, Ken, Tightrope went to the promoter and said, now, Mr. Promoter, do you believe that I can do it? And the promoter said, but of course I believe that you can do it. I just saw you do it. And Tightrope said, no. Do you believe that I can do it? And the promoter said, of course I believe you can do it. I just saw you do it. Tightrope said, no. Do you believe that I can do it? The promoter was frustrated at this time. Not only does he have to admit he was wrong, he also lost his money. Of course I believe you can do it. Tightrope says, well, if you really believe I can do it, now you get in the wheelbarrow. See, the challenge for many of us is we believe that God can do it when there's nothing on the line. We believe that God can do it when there's nothing at stake. But if you really want to use prayer as a pulley, jump in the wheelbarrow. Because I believe that God has you if you will just trust. Are you with me? So prayer is a pulley. It enables us to do that which we could not do on our own. I told you there are spiritual laws at work. There are spiritual powers working on your behalf. But you have to pray believing. The other thing that you've got to do, if you intend to get the most out of prayer as a pulley, as you apply prayer as a pulley, you need some good prayer partners. Where two or more gathered together in my name, I am right there in the midst of them. That which they touch and agree upon, it is fulfilled. But you better not get the wrong two. You better get the right two. Where two or more are gathered, I'm in the midst. But where one of them is just off. You ever tried to drive a car where just one of the wheels was out of alignment? What do you have to do? It's a constant struggle to stay on the straight and narrow. Where two or more gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them. You want to be able to multiply your power. One of the things, the mechanism of a pulley is that one part of the pulley must stay fixed where the other part of the pulley can move. When one part of the pulley stays fixed and the other part of the pulley can move, it even multiplies the multiplication of the power. What do I mean? I'm saying that your belief and your ability to be with people who can believe with you, and if you all stay fixed on that and just let God move as only God can move, watch God start to change things, because prayer is a pulley. You've got power working for you. Are you with me? The next thing that we can do is we can apply prayer as a seed. Prayer as a seed. Apply prayer as a seed. Put this in your notes. Life doesn't give to need. Life gives to seed. None of us would think of going to our yard or stand at our garden, whether it's a flower garden or what kind of stuff can you plant? You can plant lots of stuff, right? Tomato? Yeah, nobody plant. I'm the only one who plants flowers? Does anybody plant anything? What can you plant? Green, corn, okra. All right. Well, talk to me. Make me know you. Flowers, excellent. But how many of us would think of going to the place where we might plant and just constantly say to ourselves, I need flowers. I need flowers. I need flowers, or I need corn, I need corn, I need corn, I need corn, or I need okra, I need okra, I need okra, I need okra, I need tomatoes, I need tomatoes, I need tomatoes. See, no amount of need will get done what the seed will do. Right? So if you understand what I'm saying, if you will plant the seed will take care of your need. Are you with me? See, if you know that you can plant a seed, so for my planters, how many of us worry about the stuff we planted? Yeah, we don't worry about that, do we? Because the law simply works. What if you would plant the idea that God gave you for your increase in that same way? What if you would plant the thoughts about how you can do better or how you should do better or what you need to change? What if you would just plant those in the soil of your soul? What if you would just begin to plant words that fed life to everything that was around you? See, because when you speak life or when you plant seeds and words of life, those words begin to take sprout, and an idea touched by the seed of God never remains at the same size. And the beautiful thing about your seed is that it can't help but multiply. The divine mechanism is not a one-for-one ratio. God always multiplies the seed that you give. Are you with me? I planted some hydrangeas last year. Those guys, they started like this. Now they're almost as tall as me, with buds all over them and almost this wide. Why? Just because I planted the seed. You got to plant the seed. But the challenge for many of us is we do plant the seed, but we plant seeds of worry. And the seeds of worry start to produce, oh my God. Because, see, it works. Yeah, come on. It works if you work it. It works irrespective of what you plant, right? When you plant a seed needs a certain kind of environment. It needs a certain kind of care. It needs a certain kind of work. But we probably never plant weeds, but weeds seem to grow wherever they're planted. Are you with me? So the worry will grow whether or not you pay attention to it. My God. But the seed of your good has to be nurtured in a particular way. And I can tell, so those of you who are worrying about having been worriers, right? Some of you right now like, see, I knew I shouldn't have been worrying. Now the stuff that I've been worrying about, now I don't have to deal with this. This is another thing. You worried about worrying. Can I help you? If we take a lesson from the master teacher, you don't have to worry about having been a worrier. You don't have to worry about it. Let it go. Let it go. Like shake. Yeah, come on. I'm glad you own it. I'm glad you own it. That's big. This is a safe space anyway. For those of you who worry about worrying, just let it loose. And here's what you do. Here's what you do. Right now, don't worry about the worry. Right now, just plant the seed. See, the master teacher said, plant the wheat and the tare, and just let them grow together. Or don't plant the tare. The tare is already there. Just plant the seed. So your seed is your blessing, the tare is your worry. Don't worry about pulling the worry up right now. Just plant the good, what you want. Just plant what you want. Just plant the seeds of the harvest that you want in your life and let those grow. And then when they grow up, when it's time for you to reap, you can take your good and you can release what no longer works for you. Are you with me? So for those of you who worry, I want you to do what Pam did. Pam was this young lady who ran track in high school. And every day when Pam would walk past this yard, this dog was up on this porch, would sit up when she walked by, and it would begin to growl and it began to bark. And as Pam walked by, the dog would jump off the porch and chase after Pam. Well, on this particular day, Pam had a bad day at school and an even worse day at track practice. So as Pam was walking home on this day, she said, today I am not up for that dog's foolishness. I'm going to find me a brick or grab me a stick, and I'm going to bust that dog upside his head, and I'm going to give him a reason to bark today. And so sure enough, as Pam was walking home, she saw her weapon of choice. She picked it up, and she walked resolutely by that yard this time. As she walked past the yard this time, sure enough, the dog perched up, started to growl, then started to bark, and took off the porch after Pam. Today, Pam didn't run. Today, Pam just strolled, just like she typically would. And when she was walking, she heard the dog brush past the gate. Then she heard his paws on the concrete. And then she turned around, resolute, standing firm in her power, and raised her hand up. And just before she bust that dog in the head, she noticed something weird. She noticed that the dog who had been chasing her didn't have any teeth. She threw the brick down and told that dog to go on home. How many of us are running and worried about issues that have no teeth? So you can use prayer as a pulley to lift and move and transfer energy that you by yourself alone could not do it. Just pray believing and get yourself some good prayer partners, some people you can count on, some people who will lift you up when you can't lift yourself up. Use prayer as a pulley, but you can also use prayer as a seed. And then last but not least, you can use prayer as a catalyst. You can use prayer as a catalyst. What do I mean when I say use prayer as a catalyst? Prayer catapults us into the frontier of spiritual life. If we pay attention to how Jesus taught his disciples to pray and how the disciples learned to pray, here is what we will find. Here is what we learn from them. When they prayed, they did not worry. As a matter of fact, it was quite the opposite. They understood the power of their prayers, and so when they prayed, Judge, they were able to pray with authority. You can use your prayer as a catalyst for your authority. When Jesus would pray with someone, see, you're made well. Now stand up. Say, your sins are forgiven you. Don't do it again. You are made whole. Stretch out your hand. See, they prayed. Their prayer was a catalyst for their authority. Now, can I also show you what they did not do? When he prayed, he never said, God, please. Pretty, please. Pretty, please. What did they not do? They didn't bargain with God. God, if you bless me today, I'll be a better Christian tomorrow. They didn't have to. Why? Because their prayers were catalysts. They understood what they were working with. If you understand the power of your prayer, you don't have to worry. There is power in you. But you have to know how to use it. Fire is powerful. It can be used to warm a house, or it can be used to burn down a community. You have to know how to use it intelligently. It's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. You've got to set your mind like a trap, and your worrying does not help you set your trap. Worrying takes me away from what God wills for me. And so I don't have to beg. I don't have to bargain. I don't have to beseech. I don't have to hope. I can use prayer as a catalyst because it's the Father's good pleasure to give me the kingdom. And so we have a philosophy for life. Thank you, young Simba. We can go through life full of worry. And listen, there'll always be something to worry about. There'll always be the next thing to get caught up in the current of. There's a new fear, or a new plague, or a pneumonia, pneumonia. Neither one of those are words. Scratch, delete. Neither one of those are words. Don't use those words. I don't even know what I was trying to say. But it was good, I tell you that. It was that whatever it was I was trying to say was going to bless you real good. Let the Lord interpret it for you. So as you examine your philosophy for life, see, our philosophy is made up of what we value. It's made up of what we consider to be real. As you examine your philosophy of life, is it valuable for you to keep worrying? So you don't have to change just because you were here today. Maybe worrying works for you. Yeah, I know. I was just being facetious. Now that's a word. That one counts. That'll get you points in Scrabble. But just examine your philosophy of life. See, there is something to be learned from the Lion King. Is Robert up there? He's a young man and his mom. He's not up there. Is he? Let me see you. Wave your hand, man. There he is. This young man learned how to talk watching The Lion King. He watched The Lion King more than 50 times. Am I right? He watched The Lion King more than 50 times because what was in him paled in comparison to what he was working through. But you never know what will be the catalyst for your blessing. You just don't know what will be the catalyst for your breakthrough. And so as his mom continued to pray and to work and to pray, as he sat there resolutely paying attention to what he wanted to be able to communicate with the world, he was able to get some lessons from the Lion King. And so my prayer for you is simply this: that you will find a nugget and squeeze the potential out of that nugget so that in your everyday, live-a-day life, you will spend more time praying in power than you do worrying about stuff that may not ever come true. God bless you.